Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Iqlamadina, Lailatul Fitria, NIM 116. Okay, this video I will fulfill the assessment for the math semester course exam for the ESP. Okay, the first question: example, what is ESP in brief? Okay, English for Specific Purpose, or ESP, is a learning-centered approach to teaching English as an additional language which focuses on the developing community's competence in specific disciplines, such as academic, accounting, chronology, business, IT, teaching, and engineering. Okay, and number two, second question is word 3. My reason to the emergence of the ESP. Okay, there are 3 reasons common to the emergency of all ESP, and for the number 1 is the image of the brave new world, and the number 2 is a relation is linguistic, and the number 3 is focus on the learning. Okay, for the 3 question is elaborate for characteristic of ESP. Okay, for characteristic of the ESP, number 1 is ESP might be related of the designate for the specific discipline, and then number 2 is ESP may use is specific teaching situation or difference methodology, and then number 3 is ESP is like to be designed for the adult learning, and then number 4 is ESP is generally designed for intermediate and advanced learning. Okay, and then number 4 is explained in the procedure of the net analysis in ESP. Okay, I think net analysis has been introduced in the language teaching in the 1960. Tracks ESP movement. It is a set of a procedure for collecting information about learning and knowledge. This net analysis is an absolute match for a learning, and the events derived from the net analysis in itself are numerous. In the ESP course, net analysis is a very necessary because the learning has specific needs. Therefore, each learning or the study group will have different needs with another person of group. The needs of students these years are different from the needs of students from the same major. Apart from the different needs of the learning and the needs of the institution that shelter them are also different. This makes ESP in university different, so that net analysis is a very characteristic of the teaching material used by the ESP program. Okay, question number 5. Rate for difference characteristic between EGB and ESP. Difference characteristic between EGB and ESP. Number 1 is ESP is objective oriented learning, where the specification of objective correspond to the aims. The training approach which deal with the development of restricted competence, and or EGB on the other hand in aims oriented with the does not equate the specification objective to aim and objectional operation dealing with the development of general capacity. And then number 2 is the primary role of ESP. ESP teacher is the design a syllabus based on the realistic goals and evaluating student performance through the evaluation of relevant language skill. And the EGB teacher does not necessarily set the goals and objective of the program. And then number 3 is an ESP teacher is basically involved in the training operation and equipping the learning with restricted competence to cope with the definite tasks. And EGB teacher on the contrary is involved in educational operation and equipping learning with general capacity to cope with undefined eventualities in future. Okay, the question for number 6 explain briefly 3 approach to net analysis. Okay. 3 main approach to a course design can be intense with language-centered, skill-centered, and the learning-centered. Okay, number 1 is language-centered approach or performs. Language-centered approach is the simple and the most familiar key to English teacher. It is approach that focus on the linguistic performance of the learning is the target situation. This approach aims to draw direct connection between target situation and the connect of the ESP course. And then number 2 is skill-centered approach or competence. Okay. This approach aims at helping learning to developing skill and strategies which will continue after the ESP course. Its aim is not only to provide language knowledge but to make the learning into better process of information. Again, and then number 3 is all learning centered approach or competence. Okay, a learning centered course difference for a traditional teaching centered language or skill centered course in several ways. Okay. For the last question is we need analysis is important is ESP. Okay, I think I need analysis for English specific purpose course is something very necessary because for answering the question of net which have been always specific for the learning stimulus. And for the sake of my purpose, that is to impress the student positively that the course is carried out seriously. Okay, I think enough for the answer for me. Okay, I'm sorry because more or less the answer. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.